Hey, welcome to Kitty Goes Down the Rabbit Hole, where I discuss all the random things that I come across in my travels on the interwebs. And today, let's chat about American murder. Now, I am a huge fan of true crime. When I had cable, Investigation Discovery was like one of my favorite channels. I love it. Obviously, I'm not like, oh yeah, murder, awesome. But I do find it fascinating to watch how a person can go from being, normal. There's no indicator of them having any of these kind of dark thoughts to them becoming a killer. I find that fascinating to see the different stages leading up to a crime and how it's solved, what gives it away, those kinds of things. I find some true crime can be a little more exploitative and sensationalized. Like Tiger King was pretty sensationalized. And I think American Murder falls into that category. I think what really hurt the documentary is its structure. There is no voiceover whatsoever. Normally in true crime, you get like interviews, whether it be like law enforcement, medical examiners, criminal profilers, family members, friends, coworkers, things like that. You usually get like some sort of conversation, like giving context to certain things. So how they structured keep trying to call it a show. It's not a show. It's just a documentary. How they structured it is they just put in like actual footage from them touring the house, them doing searches, footage from like their press conferences, things like that. The footage from their interrogation room, the trial, etc. Also a lot of like social media videos that Shanann Watts would be putting out there. They also showed a lot of like text messages and things like that. But like provided very little context to them. What frustrated me is the lack of context just colored how you perceive the victim and the perpetrator. So Shanann Watts was part of an MLM, multi-level marketing scheme. So Chris, her husband, called it direct sales, which it basically is. It's basically direct sales. It's kind of like Avon or something like that. But part of MLM culture is constantly filming yourself and posting it on social media, constantly talking about how blessed you are, everything like that. That pulls new people in, new recruits into the MLM that you're working for. That's like a huge part of it. They didn't give any context to that. They never mentioned that. They just called it direct sales, once, done, and boom. Now you're just seeing this woman constantly talking about her life and how awesome her life is on social media. It's kind of like, why are you posting so much? Why are you talking so much? Why are you bragging so much? And that's what it seems like, right? But that's part of the job that she had. And to not have that context, it really paints a different picture of Shanann Watts. And I think a lot of people came out that, oh, she was needy. Oh, she's a narcissist. Oh, she's obsessed with social media. She's obsessed with her image. Blah, blah. It's part of her job. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't know how MLMs work. Another thing that really made it so confusing while you're watching it is that they would constantly flip back and forth. You were watching them search the house when she first went missing. You're back to her social media, back to searching the house, back to social media. In the interrogation room, back to searching the house, back to the social media post. Constant flipping back and forth all over the place. So you were never really like, you were never doing it chronologically. They did have text on the screen to show like 3 weeks before, 2 days after, 1 day missing, all of that. They did have that, but they were constantly flipping back and forth. They weren't always showing that text to screen for every single time they flipped back and forth. It was just like all of this footage thrown all together and just presented. Something that they did well, I liked how they did like the text on the screen. Like it just kind of showed like real time as she's texting, erasing things, making mistakes, you know, spelling errors, things like that. They had like the text to screen. That was interesting. I liked how that was done. But then they dwelled so much on like her wanting to have sex. Most of the text messages were like her wanting to have sex. And at that point in the documentary, you didn't know that he had a mistress. And that was why he was rejecting her, or he was avoiding her in the bedroom. But by the time you learn he has a mistress, your mind's already made up. So by the time you get the information that there's a reason why he's doing this, you're already like, damn, all she wants is sex? Wow. And they pick like specific text messages. It wasn't like, you know, all of the text messages she wrote throughout the entire time. Like, it seemed very selective, just to be like, okay, he's cheating, so let's emphasize the lack of affection. But it just, when you don't know at that point that he's cheating, they glossed over a lot of the stuff with the mistress as well. Her search history, the phone call the night of the murder, like, they glossed over a lot of that. They were just like, he has a mistress. Here's like one interview with her and done. Like, that was it. They had him taking his like polygraph, failing it, confessing to killing Shanann because she was, you know, she had hurt the children and he wanted to like almost get revenge. And then I don't know if it's like a podcast or something, but they have like voice recordings of people saying like that she drove him to do it. She was, you know, pushy and bossy and all of that stuff. But they show that before they show that he pled guilty. So it's basically telling you how you're supposed to feel about her. Because at that point, like, they show certain information before you have the full picture. Like, it's coloring how you are perceiving the victim. So it just looked like an hour and a half of victim blaming. Or at least an hour of victim blaming and maybe 15 minutes of him actually taking responsibility or pleading guilty. It drove me crazy the way they structured this. And it just like, you got barely any information. So in conclusion, Bailey Sarian, who is a makeup artist here on YouTube, she talks about true crime while doing her makeup. She did a better job summing up this case in 27 minutes and gave more information than an actual documentary that was about an hour and a half long. So, that's it for me. I will link Bailey Sarian's video down below in the description. And as she would say, make good choices, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Love you guys. Bye!